Here is a 2023 Hyundai Tucson inline in pearl white with a black and red sport interior because it's an inline. What does the inline get opposed to a standard Tucson or a limited SEL? I'm Anthony from Hawkeye Rides, and this was traditionally the sport trim, so that's what you're going to be getting. Sports attributes on the exterior, LED headlights and daytime runnings that are hidden, and they kind of have a tint into it. Inline grille with the gloss black that's going to surround it, still getting the satin aluminum on the lower trim, and around the lower area here, this is going to be reconfigured for inline specs. On the side panels, it's not going to be matte black. It's the same color key as the vehicle, which it's the only Tucson in the whole segment that will have that. The matte black is going to be on the lower skirt, but I can live with this. Inline badging, inline spec wheels. These are 19-inch, which is unique to the trim. Gloss black on the side view mirror cap and on the whole top of the window with the roof rails. The big question, what's underneath the hood? It's the same engine as a regular Tucson. It's an aesthetic kit. You get the 2.5 liter inline 4-cylinder producing 187 horsepower and 178 pound-feet of torque, paired to an 8-speed automatic transmission, achieving 23 mpgs for the city and 28 mpgs for the highway. The look to this is going to be more dynamic and sporty than any trim in its class. Towing is going to be the same at 2,000 pounds. Same suspension setup, which is an independent McPherson strut front and an independent multi-link rear, LED tail lights, and we get dual exhaust chrome finishers, which is another only on the inline trim. The roof spoiler gets the aerodynamic lines, and you get the diffuser that's going to be in the center on the lower bumper. So it keeps an athletic look even though it's not packing any extra performance. Power liftgate going into 38.7 cubic feet. Underneath the floor, it gets a spare tire with a 12-volt, split fold the rear bench in the back at a 40-60 split. If it goes down, it will increase cargo to 74.8. We're gonna push it. That way you can kind of see. And unfortunately, I still had to go to the rear doors to push it down flat. It sits up a little bit. We got dual exhaust. Let's go inside and start it up so you can hear that exhaust note. Ten-way power seat adjustment. These are sport design inline spec. Manual adjustment for the passenger. Heated front seats with the contrast stitching in red and the piping. Headroom and leg room. You get stainless steel pedals. The passenger has just as much room even when my bag's in the way. 10.25 touchscreen with navigation, Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, Sirius XM, AM, FM, streaming Bluetooth audio with Blue Link. Put it into reverse, a reverse camera. The lines move. It doesn't cover the whole screen. So you can have your navigation here if you need it, or your sound system. You can change different camera angles so you can see for the tow lineup. Dual climate control settings, QI wireless charger, 2 USB and a 12-volt in spec for the gear lever, and you get the contrast stitching around it. Driver mode select, which when you change it, you got snow, smart, sport, normal for the 10.25 digital reader that can go through an array of information for the driver, including turn-by-turn navigation, different settings, and when you turn on the indicators, we do not have where it'll show the cameras in the gauge cluster. The dashboard and the door panels integrate in together, and you get the contrast stitching of red for the passenger side, but nothing on the driver's side. Leather-wrapped steering wheel, 4-spoke, perforated and soft, multi-function, inline badging with the cross stitch. It's going to be more sporty, and you still get the contrast stitching. Opens up to a deep storage pocket. It just doesn't go back enough for tall people. The door panel gets the gloss black materials, and then you're going to get the carpet inlays, and it's going to be pretty much firm everywhere else except for where you put your elbows. One touch up and down for the front windows, and a medium-sized storage pocket with a beverage holder carved out, and a panel moon roof with an auto-dimming rear view mirror. Backseat headroom is just as good as any other Tucson. You could recline these back and you got a sufficient amount, and you can see how much more it reclines. Leg space is also good with storage behind both of the front seats, air vents, USB ports, cup holders with an armrest. Door panel gets the same materials found in the front, which you'll get the carpet, and it's going to be soft with the gloss black. One bottle holder in the door panel. Sliding over to the center, the rails are pushed up. You could share feet space if you want, or you could have your own space. Butt and shoulder space will also be shared because it's not the widest interior. Headroom is still doable with the seats sitting upright. Taking the inline Tucson out, it's a 2.5 liter, 187 horsepower with 178 pound-feet of torque. If you want something that's going to be a little bit more performance driven, go to the hybrid, and you're getting 226 horsepower and 186 pound-feet of torque. This is an aesthetic setup. The interior is going to be a little bit more firm because the seats have a little bit of a harder texture to it than I would say the SEL, and the Limited would be a little bit more cozy and comfortable. What I like about the inline though is you're getting the larger screens, standard navigation, and on the exterior it does look sporty because it has everything that's unique to the inline. Now we're going to see some of that performance drive. It's still going to be a smooth drive because full independent suspension, McPherson strut front, multi-link rear. I like the dual exhaust on the exterior because it does make it one of the most sporty looking SUVs in its class. Unless you go into like a Mazda CX-50, then you'll have the dual exhaust outlets. It's just the way they have it set up. I really think they did a more dynamic look to this. You sit up a little bit higher though, so giving you that sport look, but you're not really getting the sport feel. It's gonna take me to some pros and cons. Starting with the pros, the styling aesthetics is right on point. Paying a premium for it, well, you do get some upgrades in the interior. So a pano moonroof, the touchscreen navigation, the gauge cluster's full digital, turn radius at a stop point is gonna receive, 2 lanes. Let's go. Engine does filter in kind of like a drone note. You get stainless steel pedals and the skid plates. Some cons about the vehicle: no upgrade in performance. The auto start stop loves to engage unless you disengage it or you just leave it into sport mode so you can just feel some of the dynamics, but it's the same as any Tucson. The comfort changes because the seats are not as comfy as a Limited or SEL trim. The pro is you don't get the matte black that's surrounding the fenders because it really doesn't give a rugged look. You want to go to the Santa Cruz to get that look, and then it's a pickup truck, which is a little bit more desirable and usable because towing goes up to 5,000 pounds. Payload is also more. You can recline these seats. That's why this is more of a plus for a family option. But if it's something that you're going to be using a little bit more so for maybe work or getting things in and out, and you want to get your feet wet with a pickup truck, I would say go to the Santa Cruz. If you want the sporty design, this is the only trim that you can option that. Going to some rivals, the Mazda CX-50, it's going to feel a lot more powerful. The turbocharge is good at a low note. Once you start getting into the interstate, it does start losing a little bit of power, but for the most part, it's still going to be sporty. Option the Meridian Edition, and you're going to get all-terrain tires. It's going to be a little bit more rugged looking on the exterior, and it's also going to drive a little bit more firm because of the tire setup. Comparing this to the new Honda CHR, you're going to have more storage in the center and the door pockets, and it's also a little bit longer, so cargo capacity will be better. The steering will be pretty light and artificial, sitting up with pretty decent clearance. And visibility is good. It's not that long of a vehicle, so moving in and out of lanes, you can do so freely. If you're looking for that sporty drive, you really don't need to look any further. But let me know your thoughts in the comments. And if you're new to the channel, consider subscribing. Check out the next video, merchandise website and Instagram. Leave a comment and a like. And I'd like to thank Brandon Hyundai for giving us this 2023 Hyundai Tucson inline for our car review.